So we start out with this news bulletin coming into the loft as Brian and I have arrived back just in time to hear...
Oh my gosh, I love this news that you're actually Taylor. I mean, this is how I wanted to find out.
No. It says,
I'm sorry. I know you didn't want the world to know your secret.
It says Brian and I
you
in the
can
paragraph.
edit this out.
It says Brian and I
But
in the
I think
paragraph.
the world deserves to know. They want to know what happened to Taylor. They want to know that she grew up to be a wonderful father with a happy life. Not a supervillain, as far as I know, anymore.
Yeah.
I think you should leave all of that in.
Yeah. Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we're inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
This time we read Tangle 6.4.
Ooh. Any overall thoughts?
I mean, it's definitely a tangle. There's a lot going on. I did not do a good job of predicting what the villains would do. It turns out they just did villainous things.
I don't know. I think you were pretty much right about the nature of the broadcast.
Oh, of the broadcast,
Villains
yes.
apprehended.
But the meaning behind Lisa's text, I was not necessarily very good at predicting that.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, well, we'll get into it. Why don't I summarize? So, Brian and Taylor make it back to the loft in time to hear a news bulletin. The rest of the gang is there, including the 3 dogs. They count as Undersiders, obviously.
Whoa.
And we learn that the heroes, in particular, the wards, in particular, Clockblocker and Vista, took down Bakeda, who was threatening Brockton Bay with, of all things, a super bomb. It actually sounds like it was sort of equivalent of a nuclear bomb.
It's a lot.
Clockblocker and Vista were able to take her down. She has been taken into custody, and, the wards are being celebrated for saving the city. In addition, take down Bakeda, throw in Loom for free. He also appears to be in custody, which is incredible. And that's all good news as far as Brockton Bay is concerned. The bad news is there have been a series of villain strikes on the city. The turf war promised in Interlude 2 has finally broken out. We can get into the details of who's doing what, but basically everybody other than Fault Line's crew got mentioned in particular as having been in on the action, including even our newcomer friends, the Travelers. So the ceasefire is immediately over, villains are fighting, and the Undersiders have a chance to sit back and relax and kind of rest on their laurels, except no, Lisa has word from the boss that there is a really major opportunity for the Undersiders. So she starts out by kind of putting it all in context together because morale has been so bad. Until today, people had been realizing that villains had been doing most of the work fighting other villains, and that sucks. So the heroes want to double down on their victory over Bakeda with some good PR. So the mayor is throwing a gala, a fundraiser / celebration with the Protectorate, the wards, the PRT, the cops, everybody tonight. The wards in New Wave are going to be kind of covering the city because there is villain activity, but some of the wards, the Protectorate and the PRT and stuff, are going to be at this fundraiser for the mayor, along with kind of hoity-toity, high society people from Brockton Bay. The ask regarding this fundraiser from the boss is that the Undersiders embarrass them, show up at the event and embarrass the heroes that are there. Yeah, I know. And that's how the rest of the Undersiders feel. It's pretty quickly a 4-1 against vote, with Lisa being the only person who is humoring this at all. Brian laughs at her. Taylor points out how insane it is. She says it's basically like doing a job where we turn ourselves in, right? Like it has 0 chance of success. Lisa argues it's a small chance of success. They say we're going to have to go up against half the heroes in the city. Lisa says, well, technically it's probably more like 1/3 of the heroes in the city. And they're like, come on, Lisa, you messed up the estimating last time with the bank job. So they kind of go back and forth a little bit, and there's just no way that this makes sense. Taylor's worried about getting sent to the birdcage. Everyone thinks it's like probably worth it just to lay low while all this stuff is going on around the city. And finally, Lisa says, okay, the boss is willing to pay, and there are other considerations. So the considerations are that Lisa thinks this is a test. If the Undersiders pull off this job, they will kind of move up in his esteem, get access to higher level conversations about his plans, and a voice at the table. Brian thinks maybe it's a test the other way, testing how stupid we are if we say yes to this job. And finally, Lisa says, look, I didn't want to have to say this up front because maybe it seems... I forget the word she uses, but it seems desperate. I wanted you guys excited about it before I threw this at you, but he's offering us $250,000 each. Each of the 5 of them are going to get that much money. Alec immediately is like, yeah, okay, I wasn't into this now, but yeah, of course I'm in for that amount. Bitch isn't sure. Brian and Taylor are a no still, except... Taylor starts thinking, okay, Lisa's saying the boss will let us in more to the inner circle, and that includes meeting him face to face, which is exactly what Taylor has wanted and why she has been telling herself she is sticking around. So Taylor has an extended internal debate about what she's planning to do, whether her heart's still in it, how she's going to feel about it today, tomorrow, years from now, if she betrays them or doesn't betray them, and whether it would be worth it to, say yes just for the chance, the small chance that they pull it off, and then she's able to meet the boss in short order. We get a lot more insight than we've had in a while into how she's feeling about all this, which we should definitely dig into. But the sum of it is she feels committed to going through with it for some questionable reasons, I'll say.
Oh, okay. All right. Into it.
And she says, I don't know, maybe I'll do it. Maybe we should do it. And everybody, especially Lisa, is super surprised that she is changing her mind. Alec is like, you're the careful one. What's going on? And she's like, okay, well, we need to have a plan that doesn't suck. But if we have that, I might be in. And she admits, kind of sticking close to the truth, not to flag anything for Lisa, that the reason she's changing her mind is, hey, I don't know who our boss is, and there are some pretty bad possibilities about that, so that's worth it to me. And of course, bitch then immediately changes her vote, because if Taylor's in, she doesn't want to look weaker than Taylor. And it turns out that it is now 4-1 in favor of going on the job. We end the chapter with Taylor apologizing to Brian for sort of having swung things in the outcome he wasn't favoring, and there's a brief moment of physical touch, another Sunbug connection, and then Lisa begins outlining a plan, which we don't get to hear about in this chapter, because that's where things end. That's
true. I mean, I hope we don't hear about it, and then maybe the plan can go well.
That's a great prediction. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I ended up deciding not to summarize all of Taylor's logic. That really is the meat. Yeah. So I feel like there's so much interesting stuff there. But
I'm really excited about this job. I mean, it seems like a terrible idea, but I've been saying we need to get the heroes back in the picture. It's been so long since we've seen them. What's going on with the Arms Master? Taylor's getting up to all this stuff very publicly. What's he thinking? And it seems like we're going to see all of them, or at least close to all of them.
1/3 to all of them.
1/3 to all of them. Somewhere in that window.
Yeah.
And it also just is clearly we're heading into like some hijinks, some really elaborate plan stuff. And I have so much faith in Wildbow doing that in a really enjoyable way. I'm starting to feel like they've had so many jobs, fights, all that stuff so far. And none of them haven't lost.
Yeah.
Taylor hasn't lost.
Yeah.
I'm getting nervous. I feel like she's due for, a low moment, a blow. So I'm definitely nervous, but I do think it'll be fun. I mean, I'll certainly enjoy it more if it goes well, but I think it'll be fun either way.
Yeah. And it's definitely, the stakes are going up. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Taylor was worried about getting arrested and going to the birdcage for the bank job,
Yeah.
but this really seems like a whole other level.
Yes, yes. The stakes in both directions, the carrot and the stick, are both very large here.
Yeah, yeah. She's probably less likely to die at this event than she was in Arc 5.
No, that's true. That's true. The heroes would definitely not
factor as much
want
into
to
the
kill her
narrative stakes.
in front of all these people. Right. And I never thought she was going to die anyway. I have so many thoughts about so many things. But first, I have a pitch for their plan for sneaking into this gala event.
Oh, I love this. Okay.
Okay, you know how weight underside is it's a term in martial arts for like making yourself heavy. It's like a way to kind of hold yourself so that like you're kind of dead weight.
Oh, yeah.
People can't
I mean,
lift
I've
you.
never heard of that, but that makes sense. Yeah.
It's a term. I'm very familiar with it. I'm not sure how, I don't do martial arts. I'm not sure how widely known it is, but I think that playing off this term, they should go into this gala as the waiters undersiders.
Ooh. Oh my gosh.
For the pun. For me.
But can you imagine having Rachel as a waiter? I just feel like it's not going to go well.
Take this food and you'll like it.
It's like, that's not what I ordered. It's for the other table. And she just walks off.
Very bad waiter.
I mean,
bad wait side manner. Yeah.
This is great content. This is very good.
To be fair, I actually think this would be a very bad plan because waiters don't usually disguise their faces, so not great for keeping their identities under wraps.
Unless that's the gimmick of the gala, which would be a really bad concept for a superhero gimmick.
The stupidest. If they had that gimmick, I would expect them to be expecting to be crashed by supervillains.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Okay, let's talk briefly about the boss and what on earth he is doing here.
Yeah.
First of all, he's clearly got money to burn. I mean, as they point out, like, this is an incredibly large amount of money for what doesn't seem to be, a material benefit.
Right.
It's, they're not robbing this place,
Right.
It's just embarrassing the heroes and the mayor, the town, the rich people of the town. I guess the rich people won't be embarrassed, but, the boss has some agenda here. It is worth it to him to pay $1.25 million to embarrass the heroes and or the mayor. Like, who is this guy? What is the chip on his shoulder?
Yeah. Well, I'd throw it back to you.
No, that's fair. You can't answer that question.
What do you make of it? I guess if you want to stew on it a little bit, a couple of observations. One is that this mission is, I feel like it's like antisocial in a way that mere bank robbery is not, right? The way that Lisa puts it into context is like, yeah, morale in the city has been low and the heroes finally got a win. So what we're going to do is go poke them in the eye to embarrass them.
Well, it's anti-heroes. I don't know if it's antisocial in general. Like, maybe, I guess the heroes do kind of buoy morale for the whole city.
Right. I guess, yeah, maybe I'm biased, but I would be surprised if it's just not true that, despite it being capaganda, that, the heroes are like the good guys. That's what you believe. That's what I believe at this point. But
do I? Oh, but I believe that it's capaganda. Yes, that is what I believe.
Right. I think that the public at large probably feels better when the heroes are beating the villains. Oh,
sure. It's just...
I think we can take that for granted.
It's hard for me to take an emotional stance in favor of this gala when it's so clearly hypocritical. Like, the villains did do most of the work in bringing down the ABB, and now they're being jerks and fighting each other and robbing stuff, I guess. But setting up the heroes is like, yeah, we did it. We saved the day is just... It's so fake. So it's hard for me to be like, oh no, they're ruining the gala that's spreading lies.
Well, okay, but proving the heroes to be hypocritical is not heroic in the same way that, like,
oh no,
Taylor
that's true.
Doing something barbaric to take down Loong, is in her head, right? Yeah. It's a very opposite kind of thing.
It's kind of a no-win situation. Like, this gala kind of sucks, but I guess is probably going to be okay for, like, good for the town. And, like, also attacking this gala kind of sucks, but, like, also is pretty, like, low stakes in terms of the outcome of the attack, I feel like. High stakes for the Undersiders doing it, but, like, I don't feel like them attacking this gala is, like, I don't know, causing that much harm.
Yeah.
Like, it's ruining, like, a political propaganda stunt, like, whatever. I find it hard to get, like, really morally invested in that. But it is clearly something the boss is invested in. So, okay, I'm gonna paint you a hypothetical picture.
Okay.
You're incredibly rich. You've maybe earned your money, being an entrepreneur, taking risks, all that stuff. But do you have real power?
Ooh.
The real power lives with these capes. These people who have capabilities more than you have.
Yeah.
It just is occurring to me now as I say that cape is potentially short for like capability and not wearing capes in this world. In any case, the real power, the superhuman power, the parahuman power lives with these capes. And you can't become one. You have so much money, but the only way to pay money to become one risks really bad side effects.
Yeah.
And if you're like on top of the world in all other ways, you're not going to risk becoming a Neuter or a Gregor the snail to get this superhuman power. So what can you do with your money, though? You can buy capes. You can have your own little team of supervillains, maybe more than one, we don't know, but you can have your own little team of supervillains to, move around, jerk around.
Yeah.
And you know what you want to do with those supervillains? Embarrass the people who think they're better than you because they're the heroes and you're just a business magnate.
Yeah.
You're just a human. You're not a parahuman.
That is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I like that as a pitch for...
Yeah. I think that would be a fun way for it to go. Obviously, there are so many other ways.
Yeah.
Maybe, superheroes killed his parents. It's,
Yeah,
there are other options.
Very interesting.
I mean, he could be a supervillain himself. You could have more pragmatic reasons to hate the heroes,
But... but someone who's in the demographic who could be invited to this event.
That's true. I hadn't actually thought of that. Of course the boss will be there. He wants to see it.
So I really like this theory. Mm-hmm, this is a good theory.
Thank you.
Without saying whether it's correct or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to know for me at this point.
I did
Except
want
for Googling,
to,
I guess, but I won't.
Try to put it into the context of the villain activity, because we kind of glossed over it in the summary, right? But what we learned is that Lisa says 5 minutes after the Medhall Corporation got hit, we got a message from the boss. That was the first attack after it was announced that Lung and Bakuda had gone into custody. What that was is... the head offices of Medhall Corporation were assaulted by armed forces in an altercation that drew the attention of Empire 88.
Yeah, that's weird.
And
what were the armed forces?
Well, I was gonna ask you, what do you make of that description? And then the last piece that we get, there have been 6 major incidents, and Lisa summarizes as: the Travelers did 2 of them. They hit an art gallery and an airport. Coil and Empire 88 are a hair away from open warfare on the streets. The Merchants, who are the sort of scummy drug dealer group, they're trying to muscle in and take over the ABB's territory, but they don't have the same kind of,
what a wild strategy.
Coercive control.
Oh, the ABB did this and they got completely destroyed. We should try it too.
Yeah. Not very
They don't seem very smart.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's anything to pull out of this, but I was just curious for what is your take on the hive coming to pieces, right? It's the end of the truce.
Yeah.
And how does what the boss... It could just be a matter of opportunity, but how do all of the different villain pieces jockeying for power play into this?
That's a good question, because it doesn't feel like there's a connection. First, I'm looking at... I highlighted this because I was like, this doesn't make sense. There are a few things that the newscaster says that are clearly eliding something. So, after fighting in the docks and pressure from local authorities forced, Bakuda to a derelict boathouse. And that's very much fighting in the docks is standing in for after the supervillains, had a concerted campaign to take down the
pressure from local
ABB.
Authorities is a lie. That was what we saw in the first chapter of this arc.
So that, we know the story behind it. And then later they say the head offices of Medhall Corporation were assaulted by armed forces in an altercation that drew the attention of members of Empire 88. Now that I'm thinking about this, I assume that means Coil's gang attacked Medhall Corporation.
That's a pretty good assumption about what armed forces would mean.
Right, because Empire 88 is the only villain gang mentioned here, but it's the attack drew their attention, so they didn't do the attack. So this doesn't say this. They're just not. They don't know maybe who did the attack. I guess Coil's gang isn't very they don't wear costumes. It sounds like, so maybe it's just oh, there are soldiers attacking them. Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I've sort of put that together. It's probably Coil versus Empire 88. Over there, the travelers hit an art gallery and an airport. Is really interesting. Like, I guess they probably robbed the art gallery and took the art. I guess art thieves, sure, that's a thing. Airports are less good as a target for theft. Like, what are you going to steal? The airplanes? I mean, that would be cool. Hard to hide, hard to operate, but, cool. Either that's a really big theft job, or like, what are you doing? Just scaring people? Like,
yeah, interesting.
Just being sort of terrorists in like a stereotypical way. Like, what do you get out of the airport?
Right.
It's just like, everyone give us your money. Like,
right.
That's so. I still feel like I don't have a sense of what the travelers are doing, because like, they don't seem to be trying to get territory here. And why would they? They're itinerant. And they don't seem to be going for money unless like the airport has a lot of cash. I don't know.
I mean, that would be weird.
I mean, people buy airline tickets, but they don't buy them with cash.
I mean, if they knew about a particular flight that was transporting something,
actually, that's a good point.
freight.
Maybe they had intel on
Right.
like, someone's bringing a case full of diamonds through the airport. Maybe it was like a very targeted, like, something specific is happening at the airport.
Right.
So, okay, so maybe they're just thieves. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe they run around doing heists and stuff. Could be cool. So there's a lot of fighting. It seems like Coil, Empire 88, and the merchants are the ones vying for territory. Coil and Empire 88 are the ones who might get territory. In sort of Lisa's summary, the merchants, it seems like, aren't really a major threat. And then we have this job against this gala, which doesn't have any clear outcome. I mean, embarrassing the heroes could have repercussions, as we were talking about. Could have an effect on the city. I remember with the bank job, I was saying, like, he wants it to happen at this specific time. Maybe that's because something else is going down at that time. This could be that kind of thing. I'm inclined to think there's more of like a psychological motivation. Mm-hmm. Actually, the bank job was also happening while the heroes were out of town at an event.
True.
So this is maybe the second time that a job of theirs has coincided with an event, though in this case they're attacking the event. In the other case, we didn't hear about any attack on the event. Maybe we wouldn't have heard about it. It was just happening at the same time. I don't know. I feel like there might be something there. Otherwise, I don't really know, unless the boss is like, I have proposed the theory that the boss is one of the other villains. Yeah. Maybe one of the villains we've met, and is manipulating the Undersiders. It would really suck if it were Kaiser, right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of what Taylor was alluding to. Yeah. There are some ugly possibilities with the boss's identity.
Yeah, if they're just interested in, like, we're making a grab for more territory, let's weaken the heroes. Let's embarrass the heroes. I feel like embarrassing the heroes at this isn't going to make them go softer on the villains. It'll probably make them go harder on the villains. Yeah. So I'm not sure that's a good strategic move in that sense. I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of pieces. I'm not maybe putting them together in a... Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying that they are a puzzle to solve right now. I was just curious in laying out kind of the picture. I mean, it is chaotic, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's, they're operating... It's chaotic and everybody is operating opportunistically, right? It's just like the truce ended and then immediately everybody is grabbing for something. And it's a little unclear, especially with the boss and the travelers. Like,
right, what they're grabbing
how
for.
It fits in. The turf war thing is a little bit more understandable.
Yeah. And it is funny, Fault Line's crew, you mentioned they're the only ones who haven't gotten involved in this, because they do seem to have this, like, sweet gig of, like, we're mercenaries,
Right.
Yeah, we just live our lives, we get paid for doing jobs.
Yeah, and presumably they got paid for the ABB thing, and maybe now they're done. Like, we don't know unless someone gives them a better offer.
Oh, well, they're probably done for the moment. Yeah, well, now we know they're planning to go investigate Shamrock. Is that her name?
Right,
yeah.
Right, in Vegas.
Yeah, so maybe they're off doing that. They could already have gone. And the Undersiders are also in a little bit of a different position. I mean, they're pretty new, but also they're answering to someone else. They're not really looking for, like, oh, what's our angle? Because they're responding to someone else's orders.
Yeah.
And it's his angle that they are acting on, and we don't really know what it is, except that he wants to embarrass the heroes.
Yeah. It's certainly the most revealing thing that we've learned.
Oh, yeah. Right? Well, because with the bank job, we were like, oh, maybe he has all these... But here, like, he wants to embarrass the heroes.
Yeah.
Maybe he has an ulterior motive in doing that, or maybe that is his goal.
Yeah.
It occurred to me, while you were talking about something earlier, it occurred to me, like, what if this is this is the boss's goal. Like, what if after this he's going to be done with the Undersiders? Because, what he really wanted was to embarrass the heroes. He wanted to make sure they were up for it.
Yeah.
I don't know why, like, it's kind of like a supervillain team is so useful to have around. He's clearly got a ton of money. Why would he stop, keeping it? Like, why would he want to give that up?
It is, like, life-changing money. Like,
yeah.
It's not maybe, given their age, it's not retirement money or anything, but it's definitely, like, you could move like go to college and buy a house. Yeah, you could go to college. Yeah. So it's not quite, like, one last job level, but it kind of is like a, if this goes well, we'll need to reevaluate everything level, because, like, it seems just, like, dramatically
which does
life-changing.
Lead to an interesting question, like, will this go well? Will they get this money? And then if they do, what will happen? Like, is it so much money that the narrative can't let them have it?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting question.
Speaking of the future of the Undersiders, should we dig into the meat of this chapter?
Oh, yeah, I think we should.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say to get us there is just, I love this beat. We learn about all the chaos, and Taylor thinks, weren't things supposed to get better with the ABB gone? Why did I feel partially responsible for this?
I mean, on that note, I feel like that's a really interesting segue into what we were going to say about Taylor's motivations, because she set out on the Cape scene being like, I'm going to take down supervillains.
Yeah.
She took down a supervillain.
Yeah.
It had all these repercussions that kind of resulted in things getting worse.
Yeah.
And now she's contemplating taking down a group of supervillains. And one of the things that I was thinking while reading this is like, okay, when is she going to get to the ethics of it? And then she has all these like interpersonal reasons. And then she's finally like, okay, but my principles, I need to be able to live with myself. I do need to take them down. And I feel like she isn't applying any of the new complexity that she's seen to the principle side of things. I mean, several questions. Are the supervillain gangs making things worse? Seems like yes. Are the Undersiders specifically making things worse? More of a questionable yes. I don't really buy Lisa's arguments that like, oh, it's just property damage, insurance will pay, whatever.
Yeah.
They are making things worse, but like maybe not in a way that's super morally loaded. Like robbing a bank is not like, putting Black Widows on people is probably worse than robbing a bank in terms of morals.
Yeah.
Also the question of like, all right, if the supervillains are making things worse, does taking one gang of supervillains off the street, especially one that is not, maybe causing a lot of direct harm to people, does that make things better? Or is that just making things worse in other ways?
Interesting.
Because if the ABB being gone made things worse, what does the Undersiders being gone do? Maybe not that much, but in that case, why are you doing it?
Yeah. She hasn't really adjusted that initial, like, label that she applied, right? Oh, well, these people are supervillains. Like, now they're also my friends, but she hasn't really reflected on it, in this very black and white. There are good guys and bad guys. They're still bad guys. I'm still a good guy. Like, I want to see myself as a good guy. And so there's only one possibility by that logic, even though she's sort of aware about all of the other contradictions and self-delusion that is going on in her mind right now.
Yeah. She says, worse than losing her friends and having them hate her, worse even than having them come after her and her dad, is the idea that she would hate herself 1, 5, 10, or 20 years down the line for betraying my principles and for making a bad call with wide-reaching implications. Those are two really different things.
Yeah.
Because her principles are kind of saying, like, these are bad guys, they need to go down. Very straightforward. Yeah. She has this sort of black and white view of it. And making a bad call with wide-reaching implications is much more on the actual, like, consequentialist side of things. Like, she doesn't know the implications of taking down the Undersiders. She doesn't know the implications of staying with the Undersiders. She just observed in this very chapter that taking down the ABB had these implications she didn't anticipate. Wasn't it supposed to make things better? Kind of didn't. And yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess I'm sort of arguing that, like, oh, taking the Undersiders aren't that bad and taking them down might be worse. I don't really know that that's true either. It's a little bit like saying, well, like, no one should bother fighting organized crime because if you take one part of it down, it'll just make things worse. You should just let it be. Like, I don't know that that's true either.
Yeah, there are a few things there. I mean, there's absolutely that the temptation to not wield power, right? If you don't have any power, then you can't be morally responsible for having, done a thing that caused a bad thing later, right? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a corollary to the with great power comes great responsibility. With no power comes no responsibility, right? And a lot of people probably go out of their way to avoid, one of the ways that you can feel good about yourself is if you meticulously avoid having power and influence, things like that. And Taylor is not that person. And at the very least...
No, she very much is like, I have power and I need to use it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the things are related, right? It's like, because she has power, then she has the responsibility of wielding it. She needs to know what the consequences are going to be, and then she has to do the right thing. And the reason is because of that strong identity that she is a good person who cares about the greater good.
Yeah.
Right? That's part of her, I can't let Loon back out on the streets. I'm not the kind of person who would do that. So I'm going to use my power to do this awful thing. And I think she's saying a person who cares about the greater good would obviously betray the Undersiders because they're villains.
They're villains,
right?
yeah.
And maybe that's where she's not thinking about it closely enough.
Because that's what we don't get.
But just to finish my thought, and then we can dig into that, she's thinking, a good person who cares about the greater good would betray them. I am a good person, so I must betray them. And then she kind of says it in a way that is clear to me that she's thinking a little bit of a sunk cost fallacy. She's kind of but this is the only option. So I don't want to give up on the idea that I'm a good person who will carry out with the plan. But it's very tenuous right now.
It does seem like she's only seeing the options as bring down the Undersiders or stay with the Undersiders and continue being a villain, I guess. She doesn't specifically articulate, I could just quit the Undersiders and not turn them in.
Yeah, that's true.
But she really doesn't. She thinks through the practical consequences of betraying them in terms of her relationship with them.
Absolutely.
She doesn't think through the practical consequences of either betraying or not betraying them in terms of their impact on the world. She just doesn't think through it in this chapter.
It's true.
She really just sticks to the principle of, this was my plan. She actually says, I had to stick with my original plan and try to convince myself I was doing it for the greater good.
Yeah.
She makes me realize that she also thinks that this is a little bit
That's
complicated,
to me how
but she doesn't want to think through it.
It's a sunk cost fallacy that she's kind of she's well, it's for the greater good, so I have to do it. And I know that I don't believe that anymore, but I have to do it.
Yes, because it's the only way back to the person she thought she was being when she joined the Undersiders. It would be too much to accept.
But some of her thinking leading up to that, though, right? So one thing is she has given up on the grand gesture.
Yeah.
Now, that one magical day is no longer coming. She's basically okay, well, the villainous stuff I did, it included taking out Loon, and I feel good about that. That's more important to me than the accolades I could have received from pulling off this grand betrayal and going to Armsmaster. Or that's a rationalization because she's just becoming aware that she's too far gone to get, the easy exit from villainy. This is the sense of Tangle you were talking about in the other episode, is that she's realized now, actually, the stuff that I've done so far has now taken that grand gesture off the table.
And she seems kind of chill with it, weirdly.
Yeah, exactly. She's realized it. She's processed it a little bit. She now has this new fantasy of doing penance as a ward. She's okay, well, I could go to the wards and maybe I could be, she compares herself to, of all people, Shadowstalker.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be Shadowstalker and be a probationary ward, and then, I'd be working alongside them and I'd be doing penance for my evil deeds, which to me is she just doesn't have to worry about being low on the totem pole because she's already proven herself to be such a badass. Yeah. So it also has
she
this...
feels like she's gained more backbone.
It feels like it's also kind of the escapism coming through again there, where she's just picturing herself next to Kidwin and Gallant and them looking at her oh my gosh, that's Skitter. She's so scary. But now, she's proving herself or something. At least that's kind of what it conjures up for me. It doesn't seem very... grounded in something that could happen.
And she does recognize that there are problems, maybe she wouldn't be offered probationary membership.
Yeah.
And she recognizes that, the Undersiders know where she lives. if they don't get arrested and like detained forever, then they could come after her. They know her dad.
Right. She does get into that side of it. The sort of, would betraying them put Danny in danger.
And she has a couple of, like, really interesting comparisons with the Emma situation. Like, both that, like, was I brave enough to go through what I had with Emma, with having people I liked and looked up to becoming my worst enemies? And then also the, like, I would be betraying them like Emma did to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's fascinating because those are two sides of this thing. She says her heart's not in the betrayal because she would be turning on friends. And then at first I was like, oh, like, well, this is just another virtue of Taylor's we're learning about. She's loyal, right? And so now they're her friends and also villains, and she's wrestling with those labels.
Yeah.
But then there's that nuance about the Emma thing where it's like, it's not just that she's loyal, she's also afraid of their anger and their hurt feelings. And
I mean, she says, like, Lisa is the first real friend she's made since Emma.
Yeah.
And Brian is, like, someone she likes and respects, and she doesn't even want to do this to Alec or Bitch either, but, like, Lisa and Brian, I think it would really cost her something emotionally to betray. I mean, this is the Tangle, right? Like, she's really gotten herself into a situation with no good exit.
Yeah.
Because now it's not going to feel good to betray them. She's not, like, she's going to try to convince herself it's for the greater good, but it's also not going to feel good to stay because, like she says, like, the only difference between becoming an actual member of the Undersiders and a real supervillain would be, like, a healthy dose of self-delusion. So I'm glad she does recognize that. Like, she's like, if I stay any longer, I'm in for good. This is just the real me.
But she also, at one point, she's like, okay, well, I can't go to the heroes. Like, maybe I could still betray them, but, like, I'm not going to be, you know, my reputation is such. Maybe I could be a vigilante. There's this tiny chance of the probationary awards path or whatever. And while she's talking about all those different options, the way she phrases it jumped out to me like, well, maybe I can be a vigilante avoiding the attention of both hero and villain if I was really itching to get out in costume, which is one of the most deluded things that she thinks here, right? If we know anything about Taylor, is that she could not give up being a cape, right? Like, that is why she went out and fought Luang that first night, right?
Yeah.
She couldn't wait anymore to start her, you know, seeing herself, maybe now not seeing herself as a hero, but as a cape who does stuff, right? I feel like Taylor thinking for a second that she might not want to go out in costume every weekend she can just feels like the most deluded thing she's thinking here.
Yeah, she's hooked on this world. She's hooked on these friendships. I wonder if, like, what is the path forward for her? I mean, this sort of vigilante under the radar thing kind of sounds plausible, but, like, so many of the villains and heroes know her now. She's not going to be able to just see them in the streets and be like, sup? Like, the heroes will try to arrest her. Like, the villains might try to cause trouble for her. It would get complicated again really quickly. Yeah. And she wouldn't have support at her back. But yeah, I don't think it's viable for her to stay an Undersider and just, like, accept villainy either, because that is a betrayal of what she believes in. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know what her path forward is going to be. I mean, I don't expect her to betray the Undersiders, but, like, in what way could she stay with them?
Right. Yeah.
Or will she just walk away and try to go on her own and, like, find out that doesn't work? Or
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it's the Tangle.
Yeah. It's really like a dead end, a maze with only dead ends.
Yeah.
I mean, to give the guy credit, Armsmaster was really right in what he said to her at their last meeting. Like, this is a stupid idea. If she had just given him the information on them right then, like he'd suggested, I think she could have done that. She was at that point not attached enough, but she wanted to hold out for the boss, and I think she liked having friends.
Yeah. I mean...
And she was sold on this, like, grand insinuation plot that, like, hadn't really, like, paid off enough yet, so...
Yeah, I mean, he was right, but he was also so hostile and condescending.
He did a very bad job trying to convince her, yeah.
You know, it's not solely the temptation of going through with the plan. It was also that he was particularly awful to her in that
is
second
true.
conversation.
Yes.
But yeah, of course he saw it coming in a way that she didn't.
Yeah. And I mean, she didn't see it coming because of wishful thinking, right? Because she wanted to see herself doing this cool thing. And she wanted to see herself with these friends being this cool person. And so she wasn't willing to see how those two things were completely incompatible and that the two desires meant that she could have neither.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Podcasting about it. Yeah, she's in a tangle. It was great to see her being this, like, I feel like we've seen this before. Her, like, coming out with, like, her having not thought overtly in the narrative about her whole plot for a while, and then she'll come out with, like, yeah, I realized I was compromised. And I know it's complicated. Here are all my many thoughts on it. And so it was great to check in. Yeah.
It's really good to check in. I loved it. It was so fun to dig into all of the stuff she was thinking about, the connections she's making. And she is very thoughtful and self-aware, while at the same time still having obvious blind spots.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I feel like we talked a lot about Taylor. I had some thoughts about, like, the Undersiders and the other characters in the scene. I don't know. Was there anything else before we move on to some of that stuff that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious. Like, I had a couple of random thoughts. First of all, what are they fundraising for? The town? Like, that's not really a thing that like cities do. Host fundraisers for themselves. Like,
interesting. Yeah.
For the mayor? Like, I don't know. It seems weird.
Elections happen every few years.
Yeah.
The mayor's probably always
running.
running.
I feel like a mayor, like, campaign fundraiser wouldn't be, like, a morale booster for the city. I don't know.
Yeah. That's very funny.
The other thing I was wondering about, Lisa's like, I wanted to get you on board before I wowed you with the amount. I'm like, why did you lead with the amount?
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know, listening to you summarize it, like, I can see how maybe it's a really dangerous prospect and maybe she didn't want to strong-arm them into it.
That's fascinating.
But she also wanted them to say yes, so I'm surprised she didn't,
That's fascinating.
Go for sort of the most positive sell,
She is, like, surprised when Taylor suddenly changes her mind. Like, Taylor calls out that Lisa's, like, extra surprised.
Maybe Lisa feels like she can't say no because she's the one who's, like, who's bringing this plan to them.
Yeah.
But she wants them to say no.
That would be a really interesting...
But then she's like, I can't not tell them the amount. Like, that would be really crummy.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah. I really like that possible interpretation. We'll have to keep an eye on how Lisa's feeling about this.
Yeah. The last time they did a job that was like, we're going into a job and we're planning and stuff was the bank job. And I remember thinking, like, they're not going to get out of this without, like, some major negative consequence. And in fact, they did. I'm now, like, I have the same feeling of, like, they're not going to get out of this without some major negative consequence. But because we already had the beat where they got out of it, I feel like they can't get out of it again. But I want them to.
Yeah. Well, that would be cool. I really liked, you were just saying, this is another plan. They're planning the second job that we've seen them all, do together. Very different group dynamics. We sort of get spelled out that, yes, they are a democracy and that the majority vote carries it. And I just love, like, how, they're all, like, Brian's laughing in Lisa's face at the beginning of it.
Yeah,
they're like, come on, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. I love where he's like, Taylor, maybe we should go put together this table. Like, I'll treat you to lunch. And Lisa's like, 250,000.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, when Taylor's shooting Lisa down, she just remarks like, yeah, Lisa, I'm fond of you and everything, but this plan was just the funniest way to phrase that. I love that so much. Alec calls Taylor dork again, but he also calls her careful, which I really love as like he's not like being mean to her about it at all. He like now kind of sees her value and thinks she's part of the team, but it's like, oh yeah, but you're the careful, like that's...
He also calls her Brian's shadow, which was so cute. I mean, she was kind of trying to ride Brian's coattails in order to like say no to the bank job.
Exactly. He says, I thought the job was pointless, but now that there's money, it's pretty pointy. And I was like, you're a character from Buffy. I really love that dialogue.
Yes.
And I just want to read this whole interaction with Taylor and Bitch at the end of Lisa.
Okay.
It's my favorite part of the chapter. If the scrawny kid is going to do this, I'm not backing down, Bitch said. I'll change my vote too. Kid? I asked her. Scrawny, sure, but I'm probably a year younger than you, at most. Lisa stopped us, leaning to one side to put herself between Bitch and I. We have to stay on topic. And then she goes on.
I did love that. Like, bitch sort of keeping up the, like, this is a little bit of, like, a dominance game.
Yeah.
I'm sad that Taylor hasn't made any obvious moves of, like, having read dog communication guides yet.
Yeah, well, you know.
She's been busy.
She's been busy. Could have happened off screen. We're not in her head 100% of the time.
Yeah, so that's, I don't know if I have anything else to add.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the last thing is just circling back to the beginning. I do love that so much stuff happens off screen, right? Like, I'm a little bit sad that I didn't get to see Clockblocker and Vista fight Akuda.
I know!
That we didn't get any details about Loon getting captured. But I really actually like it. Like, I like that it only exists in my imagination.
It's such a big, robust world.
And that,
yeah.
like, we don't have to go through the motions of having 10 chapters about that. We can just cover it in 2 paragraphs and move on.
That's why it's such a short book.
Yeah, no, right.
No, but that's how it manages to get through so much. Like, the world is so huge and there's all this stuff going on. And sometimes we get these really detailed battles that take up, like, an entire arc.
And it would be unrealistic if Taylor is there for all of the cool moments, right?
Yeah.
Stuff has to happen.
That'd be very limiting
if
she had to be there for all the cool stuff. Yeah. Oh man, this is going to be quite the job. I'm worried for them. Are there any new cape names?
No new cape names. Sorry to say.
I guess I should predict a little bit more broadly. I think they are going to embarrass the heroes.
Okay.
And the mayor.
Okay.
I think they're also going to embarrass themselves.
Ooh.
And I think they're going to...
So, like, sort of they earned the money, but maybe, if Lisa's right, the boss is now kind of like, ooh, Undersiders.
Maybe, or I was going to say, like, you know, someone gets arrested. If Taylor got arrested, that would be really interesting. It could explain why we haven't seen the heroes in so long, because she's going to have, like, really extensive conversations with them after she's arrested and tries to justify what she's doing.
Right.
Yeah. And she's like, no, but I did this job so I could find out who the boss is. But it's too late now. Lisa's probably watching us right now. Yeah, actually, if she got arrested, she probably wouldn't want to talk about the Undersiders in captivity because she knows that Lisa can, like, get anyone's password and watch the security feed. So...
Oh, that's another interesting tangle for her to be in. The sort of, like,
I need to tell you this, but somewhere there isn't surveillance.
Can she maintain her loyalty to her friends and also convince the heroes that she's not, like, that she's a good person?
Well, I was thinking the other way around. Like, can she betray the Undersiders without tipping Lisa off that she's doing it?
Oh, because she could do something.
Yeah.
To, like, either get away or come after her.
Right. If Lisa knows, like, they're going to scatter. Like, they'll, you know.
Right. Yeah, that
they won't be findable. Sense. Yeah.
That totally makes sense. Well, that all sounds good.
Sounds rough, but yeah, we'll get through it. Do you want to read me the first line?
Yeah. My legs hugged the sides of Judas's body. I
was riding behind bitch to the gala.
Pretty exciting.
I had a lot of bugs with me.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see them just go off and do the thing, because time is short, so...
Yeah, so circling back to how you started things out, we don't see the plan, which is good narrative news.
Yes.
At least for, you know, the initial part of it.
Right, I assume things will go wrong with it. But yes, I'm really excited. I mean, it's one of the most fun things about this story so far is just, like, seeing how the action unfolds and seeing the smart things that Taylor and her allies do.
Yeah, we're going to get into it.
Yeah, we are. Next time.
On Interim. Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildbow. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.